In a remote corner of the Arctic, the ship Polaris slowly sailed through the icy waters. The crew was completing a fishing mission when something unusual caught the attention of Captain Luca and his team. A polar bear was swimming toward them, but something was off. The bear wasn't following its usual behavior. There was no ice nearby, yet the animal continued swimming, heading straight for the ship. "What's going on?" murmured Marco, a crew member, noticing the bear's strange conduct. Luca, the captain of the Polaris, knew they needed to act quickly. "Lower the lifeboat immediately. Something's off," he ordered in a decisive tone. As the small boat was lowered into the water, the bear seemed to follow the movement of the ship as if searching for something. The atmosphere on board was tense, uncertainty growing. The inflatable boat touched the water, and the bear let out a deep roar that sent a shiver down the crew's spine. With its massive paws, the bear grabbed the edge of the boat, but fortunately, the lifeboat held firm. "It's not puncturing, thankfully," muttered Luca, trying to lighten the mood, but the nervous tension was palpable among the sailors. "Marco, be careful," yelled one of the sailors, while the bear continued to stare at them intensely. It stood up on its hind legs, roaring loudly. Luca approached the edge, ready to handle the situation, but he couldn't understand what the animal wanted. "What's happening?" Marco asked himself as the bear grew more agitated. Suddenly, the bear turned and swam back toward the lifeboat, and Luca thought it might be looking for food. He grabbed a large fish from the hold and tossed it toward the animal, but the bear ignored it, roaring again, frustrated. "If it's not hungry, what does it want?" Luca wondered, increasingly confused. The bear began scratching the hull of the Polaris. The sound of its claws against the ship was relentless. Luca decided he needed to do something to understand the bear's intentions. "Stefano," called the captain, "get the radio. We need help." Stefano ran to grab the radio, and while the captain observed the bear, he realized something wasn't right. The animal didn't seem threatening, but it was clearly trying to communicate. "Captain, the radio's ready," said Stefano, while Luca sent an urgent message. "This is Captain Luca of the Polaris, requesting urgent assistance regarding a polar bear. Over." Aboard the ship Aurora Borealis, Dr. Sophia Rossi, an expert in animal behavior, received the call. "Captain Luca, this is Dr. Sophia Rossi. Can you describe the bear? Does it seem injured or stressed?" Luca responded promptly. "Its fur looks fine, but its actions are strange. It stands on its hind legs and scratches the ship. We don't understand what it wants." "Understood, Captain. We're on our way to you," Dr. Rossi replied calmly, promising to arrive as soon as possible. The wait for the arrival of the Aurora Borealis felt endless. The crew of the Polaris watched as the bear continued its restless dance between the ice and the water. But when the Aurora Borealis finally arrived, the scientists began to study every movement of the bear carefully. "The bear's posture seems to communicate something," said Dr. Rossi, as she analyzed the movements through binoculars. "It could be territorial behavior, or maybe it's looking for something." Suddenly, the bear stopped, looking toward a specific direction. "There, it's trying to tell us something," exclaimed one of the researchers, his excitement growing with every new observation. The bear seemed to be signaling them to a specific point in the sea, and when the scientists focused on it, they realized the animal seemed to be guiding them to a distant area. The bear's behavior grew more frantic and intense. Its movements were quick, its roars more frequent, as though calling for help. "It's looking for its cubs," said a climatologist, suddenly realizing the truth. "Climate change has separated the mother from her young, and now she's trying to reunite with them." Everyone aboard the Polaris fell silent, taking in the revelation that gave new meaning to the bear's action. The crew of the Polaris followed the bear's directions, sailing with determination. The mood on board was filled with hope as Dr. Rossi and her team analyzed every step. When they finally arrived at a drifting ice floe, the observation was confirmed. The bear's cubs were there, trapped on a small chunk of ice. "We found them!" shouted a researcher as a rescue team descended in the lifeboat to retrieve the cubs. With a delicate and precise operation, they managed to bring the cubs to safety. When the mother bear saw her young return unharmed, She let out a roar of relief, and her agitation faded. The bear family was reunited. Thanks to the courage of the Polaris crew and the support of the experts aboard the Aurora Borealis, the mother bear and her cubs were escorted to a safe ice floe, where they could finally find peace. Captain Luca and Dr. Rossi exchanged a look of satisfaction. What had started as a fishing mission had transformed into a rescue that had united man and nature in a deep bond. "We saved a family," Luca said, smiling as the Polaris sailed away from the ice, the Arctic sky clearing above them. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the video that appears on the screen. Great emotions bring great stories.